Jesus is acutely aware of his audience, right? He sees the heart, he understands the motivation, and what he's wanting to do, and Leah, I thought you're absolutely right, he's addressing the religious leaders, but not only, of course, because he's wanting to bring them all along. He's there primarily at first for the sinners, right? He's like, he went out to them. He went out to them. And so he's there primarily to tell them this awesome news. And then the religious people are there as well. So Jesus knows, I'm going to bring these people along, and I'm going to bring these people along as well. And I'm going to also make sure that these guys are like getting it. These guys have to get it too, but these guys need to pay attention and get on board, right? So he's got this both, he's going to move them both along. And so what does he do? He tells parables. Now parables, that's chapter 15, okay, of Luke. Parables are stories that were told about everyday life that had a spiritual underpinning, a spiritual meaning. Okay, and they were used to really make vivid, you know, to communicate this truth, this spiritual meaning, to communicate it in a vivid and a more memorable way, okay? So I want to just say, I don't want to read these because we don't have time, but in chapter 15 of Luke, understanding the context before our parable, there are two parables that Jesus talks about. The first one is the parable of a lost sheep. Okay, so the parable of the lost sheep, here it is, really quickly in a nutshell. This owner of sheep has 100 sheep. One of them gets lost somewhere. And so the owner of the sheep goes out and he goes to find the sheep. He finds the sheep, he brings the sheep back, and everybody celebrates together. Number two, parable number two, is a lost coin. Okay, this is all in the scripture for those of you who have decided that your chapter 15 is going to be your focus. Remember last week I talked about what your focus could be? Chapter 15. Now we come to verse 8. And it's the parable of the lost coin. So Jesus is telling the first one, then he's telling the second one. And the parable of the lost coin is there's a woman and she's got coins and she loses one of her coins and she searches the house. She searches the house everywhere, looking for this valuable thing, this something that is worth something. And she looks and she looks and she looks and she finds it. When she finds it, she goes to the community. She goes to her people and she says, I found it, I found this coin. And everybody celebrates. It's awesome, it's good. And Jesus tells these two parables.